Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is David Novak. Just yesterday I saw a video by Gina of Gina Stanier Books in which she talked about a recent trip to Half Price Books where she bought a book in which there was a little surprise. Well, the little surprise prompted her to buy the book. I will put a link to her video below. It is the direct inspiration for this video because I immediately thought of my most prized possession, my most prized bookish possession, I guess you could say. Although I find with time everything is becoming devalued. So I did a video recently about literary criticism, and I mentioned how all of my literary criticism books are where I can't get to them. Well, I climbed up on the stool and I did the necessary shuffling of books in front and books on top to get out 3 books to show you of one of my favorite literary critics. Now, while I was doing that, I was looking at all of the other literary critics and books of criticism that I, at least once in my life, loved dearly, and thought about pulling them all down and doing a literary criticism video, but I opted against it. I was able to pull out these 3 volumes without displacing too much else. So I will show you. Let me see. Can you? This book is not in great shape. English Poems and the National Idea by de Sélincourt. English Poems and the National Idea. And this is Wordsworthian and Other Studies by de Sélincourt. And the Piece de Résistance, Oxford Lectures on Poetry by Sélincourt. E. de Sélincourt, Ernest de Sélincourt. One of my absolute favorite literary critics. He writes about the poets. So this little volume, he talks about Shakespeare, Milton, Wordsworth, and then English poetry since 1815. This one, I believe, is mostly Wordsworth. That was a particular area of focus. And so he talks about the early Wordsworth, Wordsworth and his daughter's marriage, Coleridge's Dejection and Ode, Landor's Prose, Byron, Walt Whitman, the interplay of literature and science during the last 3 centuries, and the art of conversation. That essay, The Art of Conversation, is just brilliant. And then the Oxford Lectures on Poetry. I should reread this stuff. Look, there's even an errata page in there. How careful they were back then. So this one contains On Poetry, Chaucer, Troilus and Cressida, Troilus and Cressida, Spenser, Blake, Wordsworth's Preface to the Borderers, Keats, Robert Bridges, and The Testament of Beauty. I believe The Testament of Beauty is a Robert Bridges work. So when I bought this was early in the day of buying books online, and on the listing they mentioned that there was an inscription and a letter by the author, and since he was one of my favorite authors, I snapped at the chance. It was not an exorbitant price because of this. It was just mentioned as sort of a by the way. Nowadays, I suppose they would have put a premium on that. So here is the inscription to, I don't know, T.W. Burroughs or somebody Burroughs, and then signed Sélincourt. And the letter is just magnificent. I'll read it if I can. Kind of hard to make this out. and I think I've deciphered it with possibly some insecurity about a word here or there. Dear Burroughs, it accidentally reached my ears that you had purchased a copy of my Life of Dorothy Wordsworth. To prevent the possibility of my being the innocent cause of another extravagant indiscretion on your part, I send you a copy of my Oxford lectures, which are published today. I don't think you will find anything in them that you haven't heard already, but you may like to have them as a memorial of your years at the university, which I hope have been as happy as they have been successful. Yours very truly, E. de Sélincourt. It's just a wonderful thing. I've prized this, and it's the kind of thing perhaps I should display, but excuse me, I will leave it tucked away with all the other literary criticism. Just my bit of show and tell. Thank you very much for stopping by my channel.